Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video we are going to talk about entity framework and how to read data with the help of entity framework. Yesterday in my last video I've shown you how to set up the entity framework using the .NET Core tools which are primarily available on Mac OS as well as Windows based platform or even the Linux platform. But in our case we'll be using the entity framework and using reading data on Apple Silicon. So stay tuned and I'll show you how to exactly do that practically. And in case you have not subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe it. So friends, in the last video, I've shown you how to generate those models as well as the DB context file for the entity framework. In case you have not seen that, please do watch my last video. That's the number 4th video within this same series that shows you how to practically set up the EF core. Now here, just in order to revisit that, we have our own test context. Test context is our main DB context file. The test is the name of the database in the SQL server, which I have, which we are connecting. And this is nothing but I'm running it in the Docker container. So it's a SQL server edge, which is running on a Docker container. I'm going to use that. And I had two tables. One is the employee and one is the department CSV. Now let's say, because we are going to read it. So let's say I'm going to create a function. Let's say, for example, let's say void, and we'll say read data, and we'll just simply say EF. Okay, so that's one. So I'm just creating one function called as read data EF, and I'll be using, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this test context which is there, and I'll say db context is equal to new of test context. So that's how it starts off. And now what we are going to do here is we are going to actually use some kind of a reading stuff. The first one, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a very simple one which actually demonstrates. So I can exactly use db context because I've initialized that object and it's within a using a particular content or a programmatical content that's available. So I could use that. Now what you could do here is you could actually use db context, and if you see I want to get the departments, so you could get that departments, and I could use one of the first method, first or default. Now this one means I'm asking the entity core framework that from the database you and from the table department you please get me the first or the default one which is there, the record for me. And because it is gonna give me a record out here, so let's say I'll just put it into a variable dpt. Now if I just want to see, let's say the details for that, so I could just use a write line and I'll say let's say department name is, for example, let's say dpt, and if I say dpt dot, I would start immediately getting those properties. They are in fact the fields available within the table, that's dname, location, and other some stuff that's available to us. Okay, so I just want to display the department name, and I could just use this, copy it and paste it, and I also want to display the location, something like that, right? So that's the basic stuff what we are going to do over here. Now in order to call this, I'm going to call read data EF, call this function. So in order to test this, let's say you want to test this out, so I'll just use .NET watch and I'll just simply say run. So once you run it, so you would see it actually compiles that, and it says started hello world is the first line which it gets printed because that's there, console.write line, and then it says department name accounting and department name New York. So if I go back and check it out, select start from department, so I'll just simply say the accounting and the New York, which is the department it is fetching for us. So that makes sense. It's one record if you want to get that. Now let's say if I want to get, for example, let's say variable employee is equal to db context dot, I'll just simply say emps, and then I'll say first or default. So I could use that way, and then fundamentally I could just copy this and paste it out here, and then just simply use dpt dot employee dot ename, and then I could just use employee dot, and I'll get all the properties just like that. So for example, I'll just simply say job. So I just want to get that job. Okay. Now if you run this, save it, it automatically recompiles, works with this, and you simply say, so the department name is New York. Oh, because we just didn't change that, employee name and employee, let's say the job. So that's what it is. So it recompiles it, looks at it, looks fine. So employee name is Smith and it is clerk. So that looks fine, which is perfectly fine for us. Now, fundamentally, if I don't want one record, I could get all the records out there also in the form of a, let's say. So what I can do here is I can just copy that, and I'll just use, let's say this one, read EF, read data, or read all data. So let's say we'll change this. So this is my first function. I'm just going to use this here. And this one, I'm going to use it rather than this way. So I'm going to use it like this, departments dot. And now I want to include, because every department has certain employees, because our employee belongs to our department. So if you go back and check it out, select star from employee. So you run this. So every employee has our department number. So it means one department can have many employees. So I'll be using the same, and EF Core is very much intelligent to pick it up, get that relationship, build it up, and do for us. So what I'm going to do here is I'll simply say X, and I'll use a lambda notation, X dot, I'll just include employees, because for every department, I want to include those employees. Now, in order to work this one, what I'm going to do here is first, because I get all the departments, because it is going to get all the departments. So I could use, let's say for each, and I'll say variable department in DPTs. Let's say now it's departments, change the name, and I'm just gonna do console dot write line, and I'll say let's say department name is, and I'll just simply say department dot dname. Okay, now if you run this, and if you see it just kind of goes through that, and let's see if it has given us those stuff. No, it has not given us that. Why? We'll just, and the reason for that is that we have not called that function. So we'll just call read all data EF, and I'll just print that. It restarts it, and then you see it actually starts giving me that whole what you call as the result out here. So yes, I can not only read one record, I could read multiple records. With the include, I'm just including all the employees also, because every department belongs to an employee. So all the employees for those departments are included. Now, if those employees are included, it means we could definitely display those employees also. So for every department, we could capture those employees and go it from there. So what we can do here is, so within this loop, so we could use another loop. So I'll say for each, and I'll say variable employee in dpt.emps, and I could just display whatever the information I want to display. So let's say I want to display console.writeLine, and I would say /t, which is like a tab delimiter, and I want to display the employee name, which is there, let's say, and I'll just simply say emp.ename. So that's all. You just now print it out. So you would see I'm getting a department, which is accounting, that's running from the outer loop. And then within the inner loop, for each department, I'm getting all those employees. So I don't have to worry about, because the entity core framework is helping you with the help of those relational mappings, and it could automatically map those foreign key primary keys and get the relevant data for us. So friends, this way it's like the first one what I have demonstrated, like how to use the read operations, but I'll demonstrate a few more things, like how could you use projections, or you could even use where conditions within that read. So stay tuned, I'll be coming back with more videos on the same and within the same series, and please do let me know in the comments how do you like it, or you want some videos on some another topic. I'll definitely try to prepare that. Please stay safe and have a good one. Thank you.